This is an assessment support video for Level 5 Sports Marketing. This particular video will be focused on the product element of the marketing mix. The assignment requests that you pick 2 of the 4 marketing mix elements that we've been working on. This video will focus just on the product element. In addressing this assignment, the summary video, video 1, has outlined that when considering each of the elements of the marketing mix that you're going to focus on, that initially you look to define what those areas are using the core texts and additional further reading on Blackboard. So essentially with the product element, we're looking at analysing your voluntary sports clubs to understand the functions or features of their provision, how they're adding value to customers, so the idea of value proposition, what their service unique selling points might be, and then considering the actual and augmented product through packaging, warranties, after sales and branding. So these are the elements that I'd be looking for you to analyse through this section. To keep it in context, our product needs to add value to our customer. So identifying what the value proposition is and the product and services mix within the club. So what type of activities, provision are they offering? That might be children's and young people's programs or sections, adult sections, coaching, learn to play programs. But they might also offer additional services through maybe a clubhouse setting where they have functions and parties, and maybe a bar. So you need to consider the full service on product mix. This may also include a shop where they're selling particular products. I'd like you to maybe identify the broad spectrum, but focus on some of the main core elements of the voluntary sports club and their value proposition for the customer. In summary then, what we're looking at is that identifying what the core product is, what the benefits are, considering whether it's a tangible product or service environment, and then those other key areas. Have they got clear branding? Is that branding consistent? Is it pushed right the way through the voluntary club? We can consider packaging even for services, and the augmented service support. Is it consistent? Does it allow the customer to easily access the provision on offer? So the remainder of this video will just do a summary around functions and features, how we're creating that value proposition, maybe focus on the USP, and then consider that the broader augmented product or service mix. These PowerPoint slides are taken from week 5, and you can go back to the PowerPoint or pause the video just to note down the points as the video progresses. So just to keep it in context, the case study I've asked you to focus on will not be necessarily a spectator sports product. However, if you are concentrating on the event side of your voluntary club, you could consider this. Primarily with the voluntary sector though, we're focusing on participation sport. So your voluntary clubs are likely to be involved more with delivery of services in a participant-focused environment rather than a spectator-focused environment. However, I'm willing for you to consider that if you're focusing on a semi-professional voluntary club. One of the core models we focused on for product was Kotler and Armstrong, and this idea of a core, actual an augmented product. And this is the framework I'd like you to consider for analysing your voluntary sports club. So what is their core value proposition? What are they offering the participant? What are the key services? What problems are they solving? And then considering in this outer layer here, do they have clear branding, features? Are they high quality provision? Is it lower quality provision? And then considering the outer layer, the augmented product, is it clear whether they have after sales services or additional services on offer for the customer in terms of how they can get feedback, after sales services, and pay their memberships, that sort of thing. It's likely that we're mainly focusing on the service environment, but again, if you're concentrating on other aspects, maybe the club shop, or even whether the club has a function area, hospitality, bar, you may look at durable and non-durable products as well. But predominantly, I'm assuming that we'll be focused on the activities and service areas for participants. Through participation, that's what I'll be looking for. What are the core products? What problems are we solving our customers? Those actual product areas and the augmented product. To remind you, services and service focus, they're intangible and are time and place dependent. They can be inconsistent, so consider the full range of the services. Are there multiple age groups, multiple coaches? Are they paid or unpaid? And that will give you an analysis framework for the quality and the consistency of the product. Consider the service setting, how convenient it is, the timings. Are we scheduling programs and activities to relate to the customer or not? Are they spread out through the week? Are they concentrated? Do they meet the needs of the broad range of customers, i.e. are we putting under eights coaching sessions on at 8 o'clock at night? So consider the service convenience. Also consider the product life cycle. Where is the club at? Are they launching a range of new programs? Is it a new club? Or is it a mature or existing club? And consider using the product life cycle for what the issues may be if they're starting off as a new club, or maybe they've got a range of services, so that service and product mix, like the Boston Matrix, using that and focusing on, they may have several products, but do they have 2 or 3 core products that are delivering the bulk of their service and keeping their focus? Do they have different products or services at different stages of the product life cycle? Do they have a mature adult program but a relatively young or infant junior program? And consider whether the voluntary club is in decline. And you need to utilize the product life cycle to give you that sort of context on where they're at. Use that as part of the analysis. And consider in this discussion whether the club is clearly identifying extension strategies. So they're trying to keep recruitment and retention going. There's clear evidence of that, or they're continuing to grow the club, or the club may be in decline. So they have no longer got junior sections and it's just an adult, and consider whether that's sustainable long term or not. In terms of the actual product and product decisions, consider whether there are branding and packaging and labelling issues, and what their product support service. So in terms of attributes, is it a high quality provision or service provision, or is it open to as many people as possible? That would be a judgment on your behalf, but you might need to support your judgments with some additional evidence. Consider the features. Are they just offering a bog standard service encounter where they turn up, have their coaching and go away, or are there additional parts to that service encounter? Do they offer a pre-training, post-training environment, or pre-event, post-event environment? Do they offer additional support services to the teams and activities? And think about the style and design of that. Have they got a clear and consistent branding message? Is that consistent branding message then pushed through all their platforms, and likewise very visible within the community? Or is it just something that is not really thought of and kept or not built upon in terms of spreading the word or reputation of the club? Do they clearly articulate the advantages to the participants of joining the club and of their particular service areas? Do they differentiate between age groups if you're looking at the broad range of services, or members, non-members, or non-player members? So consider the examples that we've looked at in the past in participation, the differences between a David Lloyd and maybe a low-cost gyms, and how they convey and promote these services, and use those as a benchmark for looking at your club. And in terms of packaging, it's not just about tangible packaging. Consider some of the examples that we looked at. Again, that consistency of branding and the perception of quality. If the club is pitching themselves as a high quality club, both on and off the playing fields, is that consistent through everything they do? The location, how they decorate, how they set up that service environment for the customer. Again, labeling can be how they define via a website or promotional booklets. Do they have a clear labeling strategy? Again, focusing on their brand, but also considering the information that they're giving about the products or the services. Are they providing enough information to parents about what they can expect from the coaching sessions or joining the team? And again, consider whether they have a clear product support service environment. Do they have websites and apps? Are they consistent with their branding? Are they providing enough information? Does it enhance as that pre-joining phase or after sales service? So for example, in a club setting, after sales service might be support after training, information about events and activities, the teams information, the league information. Is that all available for the existing member? And in terms of potentially new members, do these support services offer enough information to pull them through the door? So some key things to think about. What is that broad service mix? Do we have a portfolio of products under a service category, i.e. club training, coaching sessions for various age groups? Do they differentiate the information for the potential participants? So are they communicating differently for the under 8s to the seniors? Have they set a service quality? Is it high quality? Is it bog standard, mass participation, low quality, low cost? And how are they potentially managing that? Is they consistent in their volunteer recruitment? Have they got enough? Do they represent their brand by wearing branded kit, providing consistent messages? Is there a code of conduct? And with that product mix decision, are we seeing clear strategy, or is it ad hoc? So some broader things to think about as you're analysing. How big is their potential market? Are they targeting a city, a region within a city, a local area, a couple of schools, so that market size. How easy is it for them to grow or not? Is there competition around? And what other implication or requirements they may have as they're running their continuous services and products or future. And again, within that focus on competitive strength and benchmarking them against other volunteer clubs within the same bracket or even between sports in their region or beyond, just to use some good practice to help you in your recommendations. Bear in mind that the aim of this is to do an analysis, use the literature to support your conclusions, and evidence from the club, evidence from the literature, and then to provide some recommendations on how they need to move forward. So there'll be a couple more videos on the other elements of the marketing mix, all posted on Blackboard and Facebook.